Alright, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a good Saturday. Uh, Man, I'm gonna just get straight into it. Today, I'm going with a theme. Today, I'm choosing a theme for today. So, we're not doing the hat. These are three stories that are related that you guys are gonna like, trust me, okay? And they're three stories of close calls that I had where, like, close calls with the police that I had where I should have gone to jail, I should have been arrested, the whole nine. And someone, somehow, somewhere was looking out for me, and I was able to get myself out of every single jam one way or another. So it's definitely makes for some interesting stories that I can pretty much fairly say if they happened today, would have gone down a lot differently. All right, so we're gonna get into story number one, and this is a story that happened in 2011. Was gonna go to the House of Blues on Sunset. It's not there anymore. I was gonna go there for a show. We're gonna see Juicy J. Uh, it was the Smokers Club tour, which still goes on to this day, I think. But this was way back in 2011. This is when is Chevy Woods, Pro Era. If you know what's up, Pro Era. This is before Capital Steez died. So this was probably one of his last shows. This is in the summer. Um, Joey Badass and, Juicy J was the main reason that we were all going. I was meeting up with a group of people to go. So I wanted to roll up beforehand, so I had some pre-rolls, like my own pre-rolls, not like some shitty ones, um, for the show. So I went, bought some Swishers, came back. I parked around the corner from my apartment complex, and I was just sitting in my car listening to music, just twisting up. I knew someone that lived on that street, and there was no houses on one side, so there was only houses on another side. So I just figured, like, hey, so I'm there and I'm rolling up, and then I see that there's a car coming the other, like, I can see down from where I'm parked. I can see down the street. I can see that there's a cop car coming, and I see it, and I'm just hoping, like, that he turns or something, and of course he just keeps coming. It's like I almost feel like putting in the Jaws music, like dun 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 dun, and he's got closer and closer. He drove right past me, and two of them, they just looked, they stared at me, and I didn't need a word. I just turned my car on, and I just dipped. All I had to do was make a right, and then go down like a block and a half, make another right, and pull into my parking garage. That's how close I was. I was very, 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 I was literally around the corner. So as soon as I take off, I can hear, like, I'm so used to that sound of, like, police engines, like, whether it's a bike or a car, whatever, they just make a different sound. And, like, especially when they're trying to catch up to you, like, maybe it's that sound that I'm familiar with. So, like, they start, like, I know that they're gonna. I'm just trying to make it to somewhere where I can pull over or something, But obviously they get me beforehand, so they hit the lights. I pull over. I pull over. The only spot available is a spot that's right. My unit was off the street. Like, if I opened my window, the prospect main street was right there. So that was the only place to pull over. So literally, they had me pulled over right in front of my unit. Like, this was a huge apartment complex, like, that had like hundreds of units, and they just so happened to pull me over right outside of my unit. So the cop, I remember, because the cop, he took out my ID and he goes, "Ah, you almost made it, huh?" And I was like, "Fuck." So they're asking me questions, asking me what was I doing, why did I run, stuff like that, whatever. And I'm just giving them answers, and I'm telling them, I was telling them, I was rolling up, I'm gonna go to a show tonight in Hollywood, blah blah blah, whatever. So that cop goes away. Now my attention had been on him, so all of a sudden I hear this voice from my, like, shotgun side. So I, like, look over, and it's another cop, and he looks down, because I had set my weed and everything down on the seat, and he looks down and he goes, is that the purple kush?" And I was like, actually, it's purple kryptonite, sir. And So I guess I obviously had some purple ass weed, you know. And he says that, and he kind of like goes back away. So they take me out of the car, they handcuff me, they take my shoes off, they take my socks off, they are just ripping through my car. Uh, I tell them ahead of time, I tell them, I'm like, I have a bottle of cough syrup in there, but it's got my name on it, some Actavis. Um, and back when Target had its own pharmacy, not no CVS inside of Target. Target used to have its own pharmacy. Weird ass bottles, weird ass. Anyways, um, so literally, they didn't even look at it for 2 seconds. Like it was just like, you know, because like I was gonna go see Juicy J. You feel me? Like that's kind of what you do when you go see Juicy J. So they literally they don't even care about that. So they're like going through my stuff, whatever, and then all of a sudden the cop comes out with this clear puck, and it has like a little like nug of like wax in it, and it says Moon Rocks on the thing. Like wherever I bought it from, they wrote Moon Rocks on the puck. Okay, so like he asked me like, so what's this? And like literally less than a week before that, I had a homie that went to jail over like a tiny amount, like the same amount of wax I had. He went to straight jail. We had to bail him out for like 8 bills. It was a whole thing. So I was just like, I felt defeated, you know? And when I made that turn, my phone was on my lap, and it slid off into the crevice. So just remember that. So while I'm there, I'm handcuffed, I'm sitting there, and like all of a sudden my homie who had been picking everybody else up who was driving, that I was the last person that he was going to pick up before we go, he drives by. They all start calling me, like nonstop calling me, and the cops like, oh, Mr. Popular, huh? Why is everybody calling you, huh? And I told him, I'm like, yo, I'm trying to go to a show, like, you know, like this is like holding me up, like blah blah blah, like. But so he asked, he's like, what is this? And I'm like, I figured like I was done, you know, just from what had happened. So I was like, it's earwax, sir. And he looks at me really weird, and he's like, earwax. I was like, yes, sir. He goes, the wax from your ears, you smoked that shit? And right then I saw that I had a tiny bit of wiggle room, and if I have enough wiggle room and I'm in the right state of mind, I can usually finesse my way out of a situation. So I just went along with it, and I was like, yeah. And they were like, hey, Johnson, come check this out. All three of them came over and looked at it, and they were asking me questions. What kind of effect does it give you? And I'm like, it gives me a sedative effect because like I've had sleep problems my whole life. I have insomnia. Like to this day, I was up all night last night for no reason. Like it's just like my mind is frantically moving 1,000 miles an hour, like straight pinball machine, maybe even the size of the pinball too. Anyways, so they're like, you really you collect this and you smoke it, like that's a thing? And I was like yeah. I was like, yeah. And I didn't want to push it too hard or anything, so I was kind of letting them lead the conversation. So they were just like, they were looking at it, and then they're like, I can't believe you smoked this shit. Like, it's got to taste horrible. I'm like, I mean, you get used to it, whatever. And so the original cop, he comes. I was handcuffed this whole time too. I was still handcuffed and sitting on the curb. My phone's ringing off the hook. So he comes and he unhandcuffs me, and I ask him. He's taking off his. I remember he's taking off the blue gloves, and I'm like, so am I free to go? And he said, well, is there anything that we need to know? I was like, no. And he's like, well, there's no law against smoking your own earwax. Quote, there's no law against smoking your own earwax, so get out of here. And, you don't got to tell me twice in that situation. I hopped in my car, got out of there. My homie was waiting in my parking garage. Went, saw Juicy J, Capital Steez, Joey Badass, Chevy Woods. Man, such a good night. I could have been in a jail, easily been in a jail cell or a substation cell or whatever, but somebody was looking out for me somehow, and I was able to get myself out of that one. So that was a pretty lucky on, I don't know, luck of the Irish, I guess. All right, story number 2. So this is around the same type of time, maybe like a year or two later or something like that. And I had been like, I don't know, sometimes you go through phases of hanging out with people, you know. I'm sure everybody, like, no, you know, like you hang out with somebody, like there might be a specific time you can remember, like, oh man, every day like me and this fool would chill, or every day, like, you know, it's just like it becomes a regular thing to wake up and just hit like a homie up. Like it's just like a common, like, you know, you do it almost out of like muscle memory or something like that. Okay. So I had been hanging out with these girls, and I only knew one of them. And there was like 4 or 5 of them. I only knew one of them, and then my homie, I forgot, man, I forgot about him. He knew the other. He knew one of the other ones, so that made it more like chill or whatever. Not that I was like worried about hanging out with a bunch of girls or anything, but like he knew like this other girl, whatever. So like for a week straight, we're just we're up till 5 a.m. every single night, just partying, like drinking, like playing beer pong, like all that, every like just turning up. And like me, when it comes to alcohol, I do not have a good tolerance for it, like at all, because I hardly drink ever. And like I can't even drink a beer. Like it's if you wanted me to drink like a 40, it would take me all night, and I'd probably throw it all up. The only time that I could actually really drink was when I was like 15 and I was in rehab for the first time, and I couldn't smoke for like, you know, 9 months or however long that was, 6 9 months. That's when I started being like, yo, like we were literally backpacks full of Miller High Life and stuff like that, like and you know, natty light, natty ice, or whatever, the cheap, oh, Milwaukee's best. Milwaukee's best beer drinkers will, I think, I feel like universally people will know it's just cheap shitty beer, you know. It's like $10 for a 30 pack or something. I don't know, I don't even know beer and alcohol prices of what's regular and what's not. It's never been my thing. So like we were just going hard for this week, just going hard every single day. Just wake up, do it again, like almost like on some like shit you would hear in like a little rap song or something. But like we're just like every single night, like going hard. So that led up to a afternoon where like I needed to go home. I was tired. I was beat. I was so tired from just like I could barely keep up with everybody else. Everybody else is like, it's real easy for them to just like drink beer after beer after beer after beer and shots and all that stuff. And you know, I'm trying to keep up, and like I don't want to look like a bitch or nothing like that, you know. So like I kept up, you know, surprisingly. And I don't even think I threw up. I probably threw. I had to have thrown up. I'm not even gonna like try to make myself sound like I didn't, because like more than likely than not, I did throw up at some point, just from not being used, and especially getting cross. You know, if we were smoking blunts and stuff too, like of course the crossfadedness is gonna, you know, make a difference in that. But I also was on a certain medication that starts with an X, that sometimes it can make you drink easier, you know. You know what I'm talking about. So I needed to go home. So it was like 2 o'clock, one to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I went and like I dropped everybody off. I dropped my homie off last, and then I'm coming back. I'm trying to go to my house, and like I was like I said a million times before, I was beat. So I'm right by the Galleria Mall in the South Bay. If you know, you know. If you don't, I'm sorry, but it's just the mall for the city that I lived in. That I lived right on the other side of it. So like where I was, I had to go like, you know, like kind of like a make like a L around it to get to where I wanted to, like to where my house was. So I'm waiting. I'm waiting at this light, and I'm waiting, and I'm just, I'm right where I'm supposed to be in line and whatever, and I guess I fell asleep at the wheel, like, but at a red light at a 100% stop. So my foot comes off of the brake. When my foot comes off the brake, my car rolls and it bumps the car in front of it. Like literally bumps. I've been at like a fair or someplace with bumper cars and been in a worse bump than that. Okay? And you'll see, like, you'll get it, like, because so that happens. These two, one lady sticks her head out one way, one lady sticks out the other way. They start yelling at me, telling me like, you better not run, like, follow us, like, blah blah blah. I'm like, all right, like, I wasn't gonna run. So they make a left and then they make a right into the parking lot for the mall. So that part is just a big parking lot that's like, there's a parking garage, but then there's an actual parking lot, and like there's like a movie theater right there and stuff. So they want to have a lot of parking, whatever. So we get there. They as soon as I get out of the car, they say like, the lady, she says, I already called the cops, and I'm like, all right, like, let them come. I really wasn't that concerned. So the cops come and they do a damage report and an injury report. And they're asking the two women that were in the car that I hit or bumped questions. And they're asking me questions. And it ends up coming back that there's no injuries, no damage. Like, I'm telling you, it was such a small bump. Like, it's ridiculous that these people even really like went this far with it, but they did. So it was what it was. So the cop comes over to me, and he could tell, I know he's looking at me. They were looking at me funny the entire time, because, like, remember, I for a week straight I was going hard and I was beat. I just wanted to go lay in my bed, man. Like, this was the last thing I wanted to deal with. So they're searching my car and they find my bottle of medicine, of Xanax. Okay, I was prescribed Xanax 2 milligrams 3 times a day. That was my normal prescription for like 10 years. All right, I'm a very high strung, anxious individual. As weird as that might sound and how I might come off here, like, it is what it is. So like, he's looking at it, and like, but it's like, it's got my name, it's got my doctor's name, it's got the date, it's got, like, it's not like, there's nothing's ripped off, nothing's like, it's like legitimately mine. So he's like, did you take some of this? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's my medicine, man. Like, I can't not take it. Like, if I don't take it, I could have a seizure. And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, I was like, I took two. He's like, you took two? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I took one in the morning, like early in the morning. I wake up, I like try to bullshit some story about waking up early in the morning and stuff. I was like, I wake up early in the morning, so, like, I'm supposed to take one in the morning, afternoon, night. So I had already taken the morning and the afternoon. In reality, I'd probably taken much more than that, but that's what I told them. So, like, when they find that out, it's like, they kind of like go and they talk to themselves by their car, and then they come back and they're like, all right, if you can find somebody to come pick you up, then we won't give you you're not going to get charged with anything or whatever, but you can't drive anymore. Like, you obviously cannot be driving. And then I was like, all right, fine. So I called somebody up, and I'm like, I call somebody up, and they're down to come pick me up, and I'm like, I'm on Torrance and Alondra. Like, I'm naming streets that aren't even close together, that don't even intersect. Like, I get it wrong like 3 times, and the cop was right next to me, so I could tell he got annoyed. He grabbed my phone, told the person where I actually was. He said, you better come get him soon, because he's starting to become like an issue. And then he handed the phone to me, and I was like, yo, please come get me now. So I get picked up, and the 2 people have to come, one to drive my car back or whatever. So by the time I get home, remember, I was very close to my home. By the time I got home, I opened up my email, and I had an email from the general or some company like that, and I was being sued by 4 people for bodily injury in a car accident. And I was like, what? And that turned into a whole thing where like basically like I was kind of tripping because I thought like this was like weeks later and stuff. Like I thought that they could still give me a DUI like later on, but I found out that like they kind of have to give it to you right then and there on the spot. They can't just be like, "Hey, a week ago you were all messed up, like so now we're giving you DUI," because they wanted a statement from me and I like couldn't really remember because time had went by. But basically, I just had to give enough information to match with like the whatever the report said of just the fact that how are 4 people suing me and there was only 2 people in the car? You know, I don't know. I don't even know how you do that. I've I don't know. But regardless, like I was tripping on that, but I made the statement. Everything was all good, and once again, got out of that when I probably should have went and I probably should have got a DUI straight up. All right. Last story. So this was a little bit more recent than the last 2 stories. I was living at a different place. I was still living in Redondo, but a different part of Redondo. And like throughout my life, from being young to whatever, I've moved around so much. Went to schools and like just been around a lot of different people and whatever that like a lot of times people would call me and say, "Hey, do you know where to get this? Do you know where to get that?" And a lot of times I would know where to get this or where to get that. So that person would come pick me up, take me to whoever I was going to meet, do a transaction, and then come back. I would get dropped back off at home or whatever like that. So I had done that a bajillion times in like leading up to that moment, years of doing that with no issues at all. Okay, so I get picked up, and I remember it was like the morning. It was probably like 11 o'clock or something like that. So I get picked up, and I have a pill on me, and I had it on me because I was gonna I was gonna do it like later. So I get picked up, and we're like on the way. Like this was kind of like a thing that had already been going on. So like the person knew where to go and whatever, and like I already made all the calls, whatever. So we were just going. Like I didn't have to say go here, go there, here, there. Like they knew where to go. So we get like a block away from my house, and there was a police car just like right there, and the person driving clocked it right away. I like noticed it out of my peripheral, but I didn't really like pay too much mind to it. And like they the person driving says, "Oh shit, there's some cops," and like they were always really paranoid about stuff like that. So I was kind of like, dude, like just chill. Like I do stuff in front of under their nose all the time. Like it's more burnt to like veer off or something like that. Like what are they gonna do? Well, very quickly I found out what they were gonna do. They ended up following me, or I wasn't even driving. I had gotten picked up, so they followed us, and they pull us over at a gas station that's like literally like I was in a little like neighborhood, and it was like the first street. It's called 190th Street. It's a pretty big street in like Torrance and Redondo and stuff. We just had like gotten to that street, and then there was a 76 gas station right there, and they hit the lights on us like right at the intersection. So we pull, and I think they got on the thing and said, "Pull over into the gas station." I'm like, damn. So like I'm tripping because the person I'm with, they're not tripping because we hadn't even gotten close to where we were gonna go, whatever. But me, I had something on me. So what I did was real quick, I took it, and like I wasn't trying to catch a charge, you feel me? So I took it, and I was not wearing socks that day. A lot of times, like, I would just wake up and someone would call me, whatever. I'll just put on shoes, go. I didn't take the time to put on socks, whatever. So I take the pill, and it wasn't something I was prescribed. Wasn't nothing like that I could explain. Like, I was gonna catch a charge for it for sure, especially what it was. So like, while we're getting pulled over, I just drop it into my shoe, and I drop it into my shoe, and I kind of like move my ankle around, and I try to get it to where it's like underneath my toes, to where I can like imagine that these are your toes. Like, I wanted to be able to like kind of like take it like that, like kind of like have it like underneath my feet like that, with my feet curled up. So that's what I did. And they pull us out of the car, and they searched me way harder than the person I was with. Whatever, I'm used to that. So they're searching me, and they're searching me hard. Like, they really are. Like, they're feeling for everything. They're going, patting me down, everything. And then they get down to like they make me take my jacket off. They look through my jacket. They make me take everything. And then finally they're like looking down, and they see that I'm only wearing shoes. And and then I think I said something like, I was like, what, you want me to get barefoot for you? Like, what? And that was just kind of like I was trying to act overconfident, I guess, to try to like bluff. And somehow it worked. That the cop was like, he's like, no, I don't take your shoes off, man. Like, I don't want to smell that shit. Like, cause, you know, and man, like, that was definitely a relief to hear. So like, it's almost like in all these situations, like, I feel like they knew they had me on like something, and they didn't want to let me go, but they kind of like didn't have a choice what to let me go. So like, especially in that situation, it's like they searched the car, they didn't find anything. They searched me, my person, and they didn't find anything. So like, you know, some people, like, it's been told to me before, like doesn't it feel weird, like, just wearing shoes and no socks? Like, and I'm just like, I'm whatever about it. I don't really care. Like, I take a lot of showers and stuff, so like, it's whatever. And I do wear socks. It's not all the time. It's just like, if someone called me in the morning, I'm like hopping out of bed or whatever, like, I'm like not really even thinking. I'm just like, shoes, all right, I'm outside. Like, I'm still like half asleep most of the time, because people would call early in the morning and shit. So that was just another one that, like, I just was very, look, I mean, if I put it in my, like, if I was wearing socks, they would have searched my socks. Like, I've just in the first story I told, they made me take my socks and shoes off, and I was handcuffed and had no socks or shoes, sitting outside my apartment. You know what I'm saying? So luckily my bluff worked, but if it didn't, like, for sure 100% would have been arrested and taken away to, like, at least where I was at, it seemed like they just take people to like the substation. Like, it's not like you're gonna go to like county, unless you're like really like doing something. But for, I have other stories like that I'll get into on another time. But anyways, those are three stories where, like, literally I slipped through the cracks. Like, I don't know who or what was looking out for me. Like I said, sometimes I don't use the whole luck of the Irish thing like as much as I probably could, or like, people would expect, or something like that. I just got very lucky. I don't know how, why or how. I guess I just happened to make the right decision in the right time, in the wrong situation, but at the right time in the wrong situation. And those are three times that I should have at least gotten arrested. Like, those were three times that, like, I wasn't gonna ride away with a ticket if they saw or found whatever, or like, if I didn't have the right answers. Like, I wasn't gonna get a ticket. I was gonna get arrested and taken to jail. Like, no doubt, 1,000%. So yeah, that was three stories that I definitely should have gotten arrested but didn't. And I thought that would be a good theme for today, so I hope you guys liked it. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, write me stuff. I'll put it in my hat. I swear, I got the hat. I got everything right here. So don't trip. But these are just some stories I thought you guys would enjoy. So I hope you do. And I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. And stay tuned for tomorrow for the next video. Peace.